Hello, welcome. This is Ricarda Cabrera.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. She is my friend, my client, and she's also a life coach. So we met over 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think so at this point.
Yeah.
Damn,
And-
time flies.
When you're having fun.
Yes, exactly.
It's been a pleasure knowing you.
You too. And thank you for inviting me here today.
I'm so happy
to be here.
to have you.
And I'm so excited that you got started with this.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
But I am happy to share one of the main things we're going to talk about is your life coaching business. I had the pleasure of having a session, which we need to actually get really started. But even in that session, it helped me a lot. You literally centered me in to pay attention to things that I didn't even know I had to pay attention to. And it helped organize a big portion of my life from even that one session. So it's incredible how important and how helpful life coaching is, even when you think you have it all together, which you don't.
Or
Sorry to break it.
or even if you think that, there's not an area that you need to work on. Because the
And-
reality is we don't always have all the aspects of our lives figured out, right? There's different percentages of it, if you will, that you have to kind of figure how to balance it.
I see it as a file cabinet, right? You're the one helping us take the files to where they have to go, a way for you to organize your life, your thoughts, what you need to focus on. You realize what you need to prioritize. You realize what you need to do to get somewhere that you want to go and how to do it. You're guiding, but we're also finding our own answers for our own life and what we need for ourselves. And it's us, but it's with a guidance that clarifies everything.
And you got it right. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think a lot of people have this misconception of what coaching is versus what it isn't. And what you described is coaching. Now, some people may think it's therapy. It is not therapy. I am not licensed to give you advice, nor will I. My coaching is really focused on you as the individual and you figuring it out for yourself. I'm there to guide you, to be that helping hand, to champion you, and then also help you, of course, define the tools and strategies that you need to get to where you want to be after you've defined it.
Definitely. And I think a more common kind of coaching is, let's say, fitness. And they're pretty much doing that. It's your body. You're doing the work. You have to get to your goals physically, but they're kind of laying it out in a way where it makes sense. It works for you. It sets you up for success and implements other things that you didn't think of implementing. Hydration, food, and how I'm going to do it, when I should do it for my body for this. And it all kind of makes sense also in a life coaching aspect.
Exactly. You apply that same logic. It's related to the field that you're referring to when you have basketball coaches or football coaches, right? There's a reason why they're hired.
Yeah. And we're so used to those. Like everybody knows, oh yeah, my coach, my soccer coach, my softball coach. Like you have coaches for everything. And why not life?
Exactly what I was going to say.
The most important thing.
For your life. Yeah. Exactly.
That's true. But what led you to become a life coach?
For me, in this journey we call life, I realized there's a lot that I've realized about myself and that I've come to learn and just grow as a person. And of course, I'm going to continue learning. By no means am I done or even close to it or will ever be. That's the point. Figuring out certain things about myself that I uncovered were truly important to get myself to that next level, whether it was in my career or in the way of my relationships with my family or a significant other or my friendships, even my health. It made me realize that there's a lot of people that are missing that. So I thought, why not me? Why not
help themselves?
Help themselves. Yeah, exactly. Or get to that point, those realizations that I've made for myself that have truly been helpful and have just challenged me and of course put me in uncomfortable scenarios, but it's helped me grow. So why not help someone else? And especially, I think in the Hispanic community, that's not something that is very much there where people really realize their true potential.
And it's not prioritized.
It's not.
And it's not even a thought either. That's the thing. A lot of things in our community, it's not attainable, not because it's not, but because there's no awareness.
Exactly.
We're not taught, as maybe other cultures, certain things such as life coaching is an option, or, you know, stocks and purchasing a home. It really, people just end up stumbling upon it, but for some reason they feel like it's not an option for them. And it really very well could be, easily.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm not the only solution. Of course, there's many of us out there.
Y habla español.
Yes, sí, hablo español. But I am an option, and I wanted to also be that for our community.
Yeah.
And not just focusing on just our community, but also, honestly, just the human race in general. I truly do believe we're all interconnected.
Wow.
I don't like the separation in the sense of, you know, of course, we all have different cultures, and that's wonderful. It's just a different way to broaden your horizons and learn more about the world and what's out there. However, I don't like to separate it as if we're all truly that different, because we have a lot more similarities than differences.
100%. And there's this, especially now, it's such a blockage. Like, no, you're here and I'm here and we're so different. And in reality, no.
Underlyingly, you figure out, especially with people that I've worked with in different capacities, not just the one-on-one coaching that I do, that the underlying emotions or thoughts or fears, it's a lot of it's the same.
And I hear that a lot in those kinds of businesses, and also therapists, and, you know, it's everyone's really coming from the same place, and their whys and their fears, all of that. It's pretty similar throughout.
Exactly.
What's your approach or philosophy when it comes to coaching?
Personally, I truly believe that there's a solution for everything. You just sometimes have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, in a safe, uncomfortable situation, let me say that, where you're seeing things differently. You're seeing it from a different point of view. I combine that with my coaching methods, which is more of, it's coactive coaching. And what that means is I am basically treating the mind, body, and soul of the individual. Because the reality is, you bring your whole self in every aspect, whether you're at work, whether you're dealing with your finances, whether you're dealing with your spouse or your family members, any aspect of your life, you're bringing your whole self. You're not really separating that. And there's a lack of awareness around that. So for me, it's important to have my clients realize that there is a way for you to show up as a whole person. Yes, of course, there's certain circumstances where, you know, at work, you may not be able to show a certain part of you, and that's understandable. However, you can figure out ways to still stay true to yourself. So it's more surrounded on just encompassing the whole individual.
Yeah. And would you say the subconscious is part of that? Because that, I feel, and I've come to learn that that's running us most of the time.
It is.
But we're just not aware of it because it's subconscious. It's not right there. And like, we know that we're feeling this, but we don't know that it's because of this whole base of things that you just didn't even think were maybe even relevant.
Exactly.
So that's something that if you merge it with the conscious, then.
And that's a part of the awareness that I was speaking about.
Yeah.
It's essentially you as the individual realizing certain things about yourself that you did not see before. Now you're bringing it to the forefront. Right now it's in your conscience. Now you have to question that.
Yeah.
And you have to dive deeper into that. So you definitely have to be willing to do the work that comes with that. But it's definitely wholeheartedly has to do with the subconscious.
And it could be hard, but it's fun. It's like, ooh, look what's there. Magic box.
Yeah, it's almost like Pandora's box. What am I going to uncover?
See it like a mystery map
of your journey. Yeah. It's true though. And that's what's important too, right? I want to focus on that for a bit, because of course coaching works when the individual wants to be coached. You have to be willing to grow and essentially be open-minded about what may come from it. Sometimes it's beautiful insights that come from it. Others, it's a bit harsher. And those are realities that you really have to want to be in a place to want to come to terms with.
No pain, no gain.
Exactly.
Same thing if we take it back to the fitness, right?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, some days are gonna not be so fun. It's going to hurt. You're tired. You're everything under the sun, and you just don't want to do that last rep, but that might be what makes a difference.
Exactly.
You want gains?
You gotta deal with the pain. You gotta deal with the pain.
What's been the biggest challenge in launching your coaching practice?
I would say getting my name out there.
Ricarda Cabrera.
Well, there you go.
I solved it. Look at me.
Love it. Thank you. Well, of course, I'm hoping that I can reach more people through this podcast. And I'm very appreciative of this opportunity for being able to do that. That's been the biggest thing. Currently launching my brand and creating that awareness around my business.
Yeah. It's something we all do. I had to do it. I'm a realtor. I told myself I refuse to post a picture with my arms crossed. That was my only thing. I don't know why I made that a thing.
Maybe because it's too staged.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's better when things come naturally.
Yeah, I'm just like I don't have to have my arms crossed in my picture. I don't. Well, now you did. It's launched. It's out there, and hopefully it also grows as your clients will also be growing as individuals. I'm glad you put it out there, and yeah, it's a weird thing, right? Even this podcast, I want everything to be perfect and every single aspect to be 100%, but honestly, you'll just adjust with time. The logo, the this, and it's like I overthink all those things as well. You just do it, and then it happens from there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's honestly how it was for me. Like just getting started was the biggest hurdle, even though I knew it was something that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly believe that no matter what necessarily may come of this, I know that this is what I am supposed to be doing. So having that certainty, it's a blessing to start with on my end to be able to come to terms with that. But then getting from that to actually doing,
and not
take too long, but it took a bit longer than what I would think it would have initially taken. So that surprised me, which means I just learned something new about myself at that time, right? And so then when the next few things kept coming up of doing something different for my business, whether it was launching the website or setting up the IG account for the business, I would go back and think about that time. Yeah. And think, oh, okay. This is just one of those things where it feels a little uncomfortable. And you just have to do it. That's the thing too. It's like you don't think of all the aspects and the little details that's required. Yeah. And then, but once you're in it, you're like, oh, well, I have no other choice but to do it. And that's where you have to put yourself. You have to put yourself out. If not, I love giving myself excuses. Like, don't we all? Yeah. That's the thing, right? You snap out of it. Exactly. Can you share a story about a client who's made a powerful transformation with the coaching? Yes. So funny enough, I had a session yesterday and I helped her realize something very important about her family dynamics that she didn't recognize was influencing who she is today and was holding her back. Let me just say, selfishly, one of the most gratifying things for me is seeing that light bulb turn on for a client. And I'm with you there. The emotions you're feeling, I end up feeling them as well. And it was a very emotive moment for her. Yeah. And for me as well, because to see that just show up in her and like, I'm thinking about it now and I'm literally getting goosebumps because that's how I felt in that moment with her. And being able to be a part of that journey, there's no words for that for me. That's awesome. And imagine how it felt for her. Exactly. Getting there, witnessing it, making you feel that way. You could only imagine how it feels for the person who finally came to it. And there's people that their whole life goes by and these realizations that are so important never happen. Exactly. That's what makes me seek growth and understanding myself, digging into the subconscious because I don't want to be on my deathbed and snap, and then yeah, exactly. That's why we're doing what we're doing, right? Like I also don't want to get to a point where I'm like, man, why didn't I take that opportunity? Why didn't I take that risk? We all as humans, at least in one time in our lives, can relate to that, feeling that. To your point, yes, she had not realized that. And me helping her get there, that's one of the most gratifying things. I think for any coach that's out there, I'm pretty sure they can relate. That's one of the most gratifying moments when your client realizes something for themselves. And you're going to see where that leads now. Exactly. I'm so excited for her. Yeah. And she's done such a great job thus far. So I'm so excited to see what what else she comes up with.
It happened now. It maybe could have happened sooner, but sometimes it's the right moment, the right time. Better late than never. Never late is better, according to Drake.
My goodness. Yes.
What's one breakthrough you love helping clients achieve?
That they hold a lot more power in themselves than they truly realize. For me, that was the game-changing moment. When I realized I could genuinely create the life that I want, my goodness, that was the biggest breakthrough. And I remember that moment as if it were happening right now. I'm so serious. That is the biggest breakthrough that I can help a client achieve.
It's a big one.
It's huge.
It's also a heavy one to carry. If you succeed, it's because of you. And if you fail, it's because of you. I understand why it's so much easier for people to go around life having the excuses, pointing the finger, when in reality, it's your choices and what you do and your mindset about it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. How about we reframe that? Because it's true. Of course, it's scary. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. And of course, it's uncomfortable. My goodness, you have to see yourself from so many different perspectives. Put yourself out there and you're going to feel vulnerable. A lot of people avoid that, right? To your point, it's a lot easier to just kind of go about life and not focus on that. However, if you're going to live 80 years on this planet, don't you think it might be worth doing some of the work? I have a purpose. And it's up to us to figure that out and to live that out. It's our responsibility. So even though it can be scary, it's also like a load was lifted, to be honest, because I realized, wow, I'm able to do X, Y, and Z. I just have to figure it out. Okay, let's go. Let's figure it out.
So it's a lot of pressure,
me.
but
of course there's external factors. Please, we're not going to sugarcoat that, right?
Yeah.
I work in reality. I don't work in la la land. However, it really is about your mindset. What later on came for me was also having a true belief in myself and what I know. This is more than enough. And I'm just going to continue learning. I'm going to continue leveling up because that's the standard that I've put for myself. Every day I make a conscious effort of that. And it can show up in many different ways.
I think it's better to live with the trying and failing and redoing and adjusting than not doing anything at all. The what if, living with what if. Scratch that out, do it, figure it out. Either you make it, you do what you wanted to do, you find out so many things along the way, or you have to reroute. That wasn't what was meant to happen. But learn a lot, and no matter what.
And those learnings, no one can take that away from you.
No one.
And sometimes you're going to need help. And that's where people like me come in.
Yeah. The most successful people, they will tell you, you don't just win every time. You don't, it's not rainbows and butterflies going through it. I don't think I've ever heard any professional, any star, anyone who's made it somewhere very high up in their career and what they do in a successful way, saying that it was so easy, that it was like, oh,
no, if anything, they tell you exactly what I'm saying in maybe different words, of course,
but it looks easy to us because we see where they got to.
Exactly. Yes. And that's what a lot of people forget. You see the result.
And you beat yourself up for not having the result without doing the work.
The first time around. No, that's not going to happen. Here's a perfect example. Look at what we're doing. We have ambitions, we have dreams, and we have specific goals that we're trying to hit individually. But we're starting out.
We're also finding what our new goals are and what if this is still the same goal.
Exactly. Or if this is really my why, right?
Yes.
Like, and if it isn't, okay, then what is it? And then you pivot. And that's the whole point. Failure, I've had to learn this.
Failure's amazing.
It's taken me some time, I'll be honest. But I had to learn that if you truly are able to change your perspective from failure is a sense of demise.
It's bad.
Or just
it's wrong.
Like true death. How about think of it this way? It is just a moment in time that you can either choose to learn from the scenario or victimize yourself.
Yeah.
And that is where your control in your true power lies. Yes, you may not be able to control the external factors, but you can control how you view,
how you react to them, how you use them. I was listening to something talking about twins, and one ended up being, let's call it a successful CEO, while the other jail, right? And when they asked them what led you to this place, they both answered the same thing. Well, how I grew up, the household I grew up in. It was how they decided to use those experiences, what led them to where each of them was.
Exactly.
And you could either go to jail and be upset and blame your parents, your life, everything that happened to you, or you could succeed and say, yeah, I mean, I didn't want that to be my fate.
Exactly.
So I had to go this way.
Exactly.
And that's where the whole you have the power comes from. And it's not saying that, well, if you realize that, all of a sudden the path becomes clear and it's so easy for you. What you would consider roadblocks in your way, they're still going to be there. You could just make it so that you could hop over them a little easier.
Or exactly, right? And it's also just a lot of it, honestly, is really about your perspective. Your life is based off of your perspective. If you feel like a certain roadblock is impossible, you cannot achieve that.
Then that's what it is.
Yeah. Because your mind, like this has been
proven. Yes.
Like, so I'm not just talking here
People
all
think
willy-nilly.
woo,
It's
woo.
actually been exactly
Yeah.
to see as like woo or whatever, but it's not. It's actually been proven. Like your mind, if you are able to reframe how you see a certain scenario or perspective or outcome, if you see it as, okay, what can I learn from this? Or what opportunity lies here? What am I not seeing yet? Or what can I see? Then you naturally start seeing all these opportunities that the reality is they've been there.
You were just not.
You were not seeing them because you were coming from a perspective of lack. You were
and lack,
from
impossible.
like this is not achievable. I can't do this, or that can't be the outcome, etc. When you're coming from a place of lack, of course, that's all you're going to see.
If you're thinking of a red car, you're going to go on the road and that's all you're going to see. That's with everything. Oh, I'm always broke. I'm always sad. You're going to continue that. Exactly. You're commanding yourself to see that. And so what else are you going to see?
Exactly. And there's a lot of power in realizing how much your senses impact you. And what I mean by that is when you keep saying certain things out loud, you're hearing it. You're hearing yourself say that. If you're saying, oh, I can't do this, guess what? Your brain is picking that up.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're conditioning. This is where a lot of people will say, do positive affirmations.
Yeah.
That's a way, that's a beginning of you retraining your brain, because now you're hearing yourself saying, hold up, I can do this.
Yeah.
I've done X, Y, and Z before. I can definitely do this now.
Yeah.
This is just, yes, maybe it's a bit of a challenge, it's uncomfortable. I haven't done it before, but I'll figure it out. The more you say that to yourself and the more you start to genuinely believe it, now you have to go back, of course, and compare it to things you've done. So when you sit there and you have this harsh evidence of the things you've achieved, it's difficult for you to think otherwise. So you can get there. And yes, there's going to be things you have to learn to get there. This is not like how you said earlier. This is not like, oh, I just speak it into existence and it'll just happen. You have to put in the work.
Words are very important. Like spelling, they say it's like spells, right? Like spells, spelling, because words are very powerful, especially when you're saying negative things. There's also an emotion to it. And the second part of that is there's also a belief to it. If you're looking yourself in the mirror, I'm so fat. You're always going to see that. You're affirming it, you're confirming it, you're making it so that not only you're seeing that, but the world is seeing that, and it's just what it is, and it's not going to change. Another thing to words as well, the brain hears the I can't, right? If you're saying I'm not fat, you're still having the word fat in there. You're still having that emotion to where you're trying to say I'm not fat. Yeah, it's like an affirmation. Like you're trying to make an affirmation that sounds positive, but it's still using that word that to you isn't positive, and that feeling in you is condescending to your own self. And the brain, you can't lie to your own brain.
It's in a way, it's like you're tricking it.
Yeah, you're tricking it, but it's not proper. So what you have to do is, I am so healthy. I'm getting so slim. You have to frame it in a way where it's more believable to you and it's believable to your own mind.
Yes, exactly. I'm glad you said that. It's to your point, the words have such power. And this is why I might have even done it in conversations with you. I'll say, don't say that. Change that wording.
Yes.
Because
And I'm big on that, but it happens.
It happens
to me.
Look, I'm not perfect, obviously, either. So it's, of course, there's moments where I catch myself saying something, but then because I've learned to catch those things, when I do say them, I quickly fix that for myself. Like I quickly go back and then I restate it. And yes, that might sound a little crazy or a little nutty, but it's the truth. It works because at the end of the day, that's the control that I choose to have. And also, that's one thing too that I help my clients do. It's the emotion tied into it. I go into envisioning exercises with my clients. You should know, I did one with you. The emotion that you tie into it, that's a huge part of it. That's truly what brings things into existence.
And with reframing the wording, it's not like the magic trick, right? It's not saying like, no, oh my God, I can do it. I can do it. Yes. No, you have to find a way where you could attach the positive emotions to it. What were you able to do at one point? Think about how that felt and then try to bring that in. It's funny because I think everyone has something in their life that they just knew they would achieve or do, and it was so seamless. You don't have to convince yourself of it. It could be from ignorance, right? Oh, this looks like an easy race. I could do it. And then it happens to be that you had a lot of energy and you did it and it worked out that day. And that just feels so good. It's like, oh, I knew I could do it and I did it. So you can do things. And I do feel that the feeling that you were able to do it is what helped you actually do it.
Exactly.
Because if you told yourself, I don't think I could do it, then most likely that's the energy, that's the feeling, that's how you started that race.
Yeah.
And it probably didn't go so well with that energy.
Yeah. And of course, if you're an athlete, of course, there's a lot of training that goes behind that. There's a lot of like physical, mental training. However, if you hear how star athletes speak, they know they can do it. They know they're going to get there. How do you think Serena Williams has won as many? There's
a mental game that they do.
It's your mentality. So when you put yourself in that space of, I know I can do it, in that winner's mentality, and you motivate yourself naturally to seek out the things that you need to do in order to get there, right? Because again, you have to take action. This is not just about you saying it out loud or just saying, yes, I believe. And
you have to find your method.
Action. But exactly,
you find your method.
It's not a one size fits all. That's where a lot of like with my life coaching, I also help people find that what's right for them. I love to emphasize this. The focus is not on me or anything I've achieved. It's about you as the client. Why? Because what has worked for me is irrelevant for what might work for you. That's a huge mistake that people also do. We compare ourselves to the person that's next to us, when the reality is you should be focusing on comparing yourself on who you were yesterday. Who were you yesterday? Well, how do you want to show up today? That's what you need to be asking yourself. Not what is Joe Schmo doing? That's irrelevant. How does that impact
And you never really know how they're doing. Like you can't be in their head.
Exactly.
And even if you were and you try to replicate exactly what was in their head, it might not work for you. It's so, even when we talk about athletes, I believe it's Michael Jordan, that he had this thing that he would make up scenarios in his mind to get angry and amped up. That was his method.
That works for him.
And then they'll say like, I never spoke to you. And like he's arguing with someone on the court and angry at them, and they have no idea why. And it's because he created fake scenario with this person in order to beat them. And that's like the method that works for him.
That worked for him.
And you see that a lot, like, oh, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. People always have something to say that something doesn't work because it didn't work for them. Because it could be that they're not doing it the proper way, but it also could be that that's just not the method for you. And even if you did it textbook style, that's not the right one for you. The goal is the same. The idea behind a certain process is the same, but the result will vary depending on the person.
And I'm going to challenge something you said. I wouldn't say it's not the proper way, because it goes back to, it's about figuring out what's right for you as the individual. Exactly. Right. Like, hey, if that was Michael Jordan, like, and he figured that out for himself. It may sound crazy to other people, but guess what? He got the result.
You do what you got to do.
Works for you.
And that's how it is.
I find that works for me. I like listening to hip hop if I need to amp myself up. I am so serious, and that'll work. If I need to get myself in a very focused state of mind of no, can I curse?
No
No
bullshit.
fucking bullshit. Like I'm so serious. Like I'll listen to certain songs and it gets me in that state.
Yeah.
It gets me in that frequency. There's a certain vibration and that just helps me like hone in on what I need to. And guess what? Everything else that I'm executing after that, it's going to be done. A game is on in my mind. Yes, no one else understands or knows what's going on.
They don't have to.
Irrelevant. It's what I need to do for me to succeed. That does not mean that you do just anything to succeed. Okay, we're talking about
I was going to say that.
We're talking about healthy habits that empower you.
You can't harm people on the way.
Please don't take this as a
challenge to find the weirdest way to
exactly. We don't be becoming a viral. It's really about figuring out what healthy habits you can start integrating in your life that work for you, because that's the whole point, right? That's the underlying idea of what we're talking about here. It's about you.
And I think a simple way to start, I always connect this in my head. Let's say you're doing a workout and you're trying to get those last couple squats. Like, what is it that you tell yourself when you do it? When you do that extra squat or those 2 or 3, or you add another one, try to remember what was the mantra, if you want to use a word, or what was the phrase, or what was the thought that you told yourself to get through it? What was the song? What made you actually do it?
Exactly.
And that is going to be one of the methods you could use for other things.
Exactly.
Back to words, because luckily I'm so glad my mom did this for me growing up, and which always helped me be aware of my words. Obviously, later on is when I realized even more how important that was. If I would say something silly or like not a good phrase, like, oh my God, I'm dying, or something like that, for whatever reason, if I was so tired or hungry, she'll say cancelo, which means like cancel. She'll make me cancel the negative phrase. I've always been very aware of things like that. So she always told me, don't play around that like you're crippled. Like, don't do that, because you can make it a reality. And she talks about this guy in the streets back when my siblings were growing up, that he would pretend he's like crippled to get money. And then they would see him walking normal after stuff. And one day he actually became crippled. And she's like, that's why you don't play with things like that. So I'm always very serious about not playing with things I don't want, and not saying words or putting into existence things that I don't want.
Yeah, you're speaking it into existence. It's the thing. Yeah, of course, there might have been other factors that led that person, for example, to become crippled. A huge part of it is your mindset. If you see yourself in that perspective, guess what? Your mind will find ways to get you there. Words are
powerful.
Truly
powerful. Are you working one-on-one only, or do you plan on having group events or workshops?
Currently, I am working one-on-one with clients. However, I can speak at events, so I am available for that. And I am working on workshops, which I'm excited to roll that out.
Yay. Maybe we could do something fun together.
Definitely.
What is one belief you've had to unlearn out of the many?
Out of the many, exactly, right? Because there's a lot of that. I honestly would say the true power that communication has. In a way, you almost dismiss it, right? It's like any belief. You don't realize the true power that it has until you come to that realization, of course. Let me further clarify. Communication is in the sense of words, right? The words that you use. I knew it was important. However, until I started really diving into learning more about affirmations and learning about the energy that you put out there in the world and how that impacts what you receive, etc., I had not truly realized up until that point the true power that words have.
Like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Well, also what you say
and what you say. Yeah.
So it's not either or.
It's not both. It's both. Yes. Ooh. Yeah, it is both. You're right. If you could go back and give yourself advice when you first started, what would it be?
Enjoy it.
Enjoy the fight.
Enjoy it. The obstacles, highs, anything. Just enjoy it, because it's all a learning experience. I learned that in my journey, like as I'm continuing, of course. But had I known that then, then
this is not fun.
I definitely would have I was truly excited, of course, because it's something that I'm very much passionate about, and I know it's what I'm supposed to be doing. But from knowing that to getting yourself to, once you're applying and like once you're starting to like build your brand, or you're building your site, or you're building X, Y, and Z, or or talking to the next person that you need to speak to, you can get very hung up on the details and forget for a moment to just enjoy it.
Yeah. What tools, strategies, or habits have helped you stay focused on building your business?
I had to quickly learn that with so many things that I have to do, because it's just me right now, whether it's marketing, finances, just the general operations of the business, I had to really structure my schedule, because right now I have another job. So in order to make this work, I'd structure it in a way where I'm blocking time to where it plays to my strengths, meaning like I know that I work very well in the morning. I'm the most productive during that time. So I figured it out. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm waking up even earlier than what I already was doing.
Earlier? It's 4 a.m. Good for you? No, it's not.
You gotta do what you gotta do, okay? And I figured it out for my schedule, where I'm also balancing other things that I value, like for example, family and spending time with friends and being able to do this.
I've been a little neglected by you, to be honest.
Okay, then it goes both ways.
Block me in. Block me in. That's a big challenge for me, at least, because I'm very good with the flow, I like to make decisions very close to the moment that they're happening, because I don't want to make a choice a week before and that not be my mood that day.
You know what I've learned is that even if you set, the whole point is to have something on your calendar where you're setting that time for yourself.
Yeah.
And if for some reason the day comes and shit happens, like sometimes you thought you were going to be able to run that errand so that then later you had time to work on your podcast. But then let's say it's the day up and you realize, man, okay, I don't know, it's raining. And because it's raining, I can't run my errand now because it's outside. So I can work on my podcast now, and then later.
Yeah, you could adjust.
You can adjust it. That's the whole point.
You definitely can. I've gotten better at it.
You're creating the schedule. You just have to, you figure it out based off of what's important to you. And that's why I mentioned values, right? That was very intentional for me to mention that, because it's based off of that. If you focus your schedule off of what you value, it becomes a more fulfilling schedule.
And priorities, what you value. Ricarda, it was a pleasure. I was so excited to have you on. I really wanted to talk to you more about the life coaching, because I think it's so important for everyone. And I know what it did for me with that one session we had. We have to schedule more.
I'm glad you said that.
It's just so important. And I think people need some life coaching. It's the most important part. Everything else is second to that. I'm glad you're on here. I'm excited for your events, workshops. Looking forward to that as well. Where could the peoples find you?
They can find me at Elevate by Ricarda, which is my IG. Feel free to DM me and reach out to inquire about further details, and or my website, www.ricardacabrera.com. You can also find a lot more about my background on there, as well as the one-on-one coaching, the type of coaching that I do. Feel free to reach out to me.
I'll link all the information in the notes so that you could go directly. And she doesn't bite, I promise. Feel free to reach out. You're so special. It's so fun having you in my life, and I am so happy to see the life coaching part getting going and really changing things up. I appreciate you as a person. I appreciate you as a friend. I have seen you accomplish things in the last year alone that are just amazing to see. I love strong women. I always keep really strong-minded friends who are very passionate in what they do in their life and just so accomplished. It's just so amazing to see, because we don't do excuses here. We just make it happen.
Exactly.
But reach out and we will hang out soon.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure, truly.
It was my pleasure being here in this space with you. And I'm telling you, when you texted me telling me that you were finally doing this, I got so happy for you, because it was something that you mentioned
a long time ago.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see that it came back around, and You did it.
Our session was part of it. I think it helped me like, okay, what do I need to do? And it definitely helped me go for it and do it because I knew that I had that on the back burner. And I remind myself that with everything, even with real estate, it's something that I had on the back burner for a while, years literally, until I finally did it. Why didn't I do it sooner? Now I'm working on just doing things and making them happen as soon as I can. Yes. So thank you. See you guys again.
Thank you.
Bye bye.